Right, okay guys, welcome to this week's Friday Waffle, and I'm absolutely delighted to have an old mate back again. It's Mr. Lawn Boys Post 1975. How the hell are you, Dave?
I'm very good, sir. I'm very good.
It's absolutely brilliant to have you back again. I think we have been trying to get together. There's probably more likely you'll have a solar, well, it's not a solar eclipse, a total eclipse of the moon. Is that what they call it? When the moon aligns with whatever it is, and you get a blackout. There was probably more chance of that happening than you and I getting together this year.
Everything is conspired against us.
But you know what? We've made it with 12 days, 13 days to go.
And also, this will be our third Christmas collaboration, I believe.
I think it is. It's a bit of a tradition, I think.
Was it Al and Dave's Christmas shindig? Or was it Chinwag? I can't remember.
And I like. Do you know the thing? As you get older, you like traditions. Traditions become something that you like. You get a sense of comfort, don't you?
Yeah. Familiarity is key. Oh my God, I sounded so old saying that. Who was that? That was sorry. I think I was telling one of my grandparents used to say.
So how are you anyway?
I'm good. I'm running on a new laptop. Because in true form, I literally ran my last one into the ground. I'm loving the weather right now because it's wet, cold, and windy, which is my favourite weather.
It's perfect. It's perfect YouTube and video gaming weather, isn't it?
Exactly. And it's also good working night, sleeping days weather, which is the main reason I like it.
That's very, very true. Listen, what we're going to do, I mean, I'm not going to call it a Christmas special. We're going to talk about Christmas. We can't not talk about Christmas. But I think in light of kind of what's going on this year and the fact that you and I haven't caught up for such a long time other than on the phone and text messages, I wanted to just kind of do a quick, it's not going to be a quick because nothing that we do is quick, a recap of 2020. From a kind of gaming perspective, we all know what's going on this year. You don't need Dave and I to tell you. It's been a pretty shit year all round, isn't it?
It's been, in the words of McNulty from Strong Jim Dog in 2000 AD. I don't know why I put it in there, but the character's Scottish, so you reminded me. It's been a scunner of a year.
Scunner. Is that? Do you know what that means? I'm scunnered.
I have no idea. I just assumed it meant shit.
Scunner. If you're scunnered, I suppose that the English equivalent is pissed off.
All right. Also, it is actually a real phrase.
It is scunnered.
The character's a mutant. That no reflection on you, sir. And he's Scottish. And I always thought it was just like them basically saying it's shit, but doing it in a way they could write it in a kid's comic and not get.
Scunnered.
That's a real word. Huh?
Yeah, scunnered is fed up. I'm fed up. I'm scunnered. Good
to know. If it wasn't, see, this is some important things. If it wasn't for us catching up tonight, I never would have known that.
every day's a school day. I found out, what the hell was it? I found out something a couple of weeks ago. Oh, bloody hell, what was it?
Where babies come from?
Eh? I know it's the stork, don't give me that. No, there's something ridiculous. And I'm like, somebody told me, and I'm like, really? I went, are you shitting me? I went, no. I went, I never knew that. And I can't remember for the life of me what it was. I actually found out, do you know what Gino D'Acampo, that annoying little Italian man that cooks stuff, do you actually know what he's famous for? Well, before he became famous for that.
No.
He's got a link to Paul Young of Wherever I Lay My Hat, That's My Home person.
I remember his songs and stuff, and his epic mullet. What's his link to it? Then?
The link is
cook for him.
Gino D'Acampo, before he became famous, actually burgled Paul Young's house, and he was sent to prison before he became famous.
I'd like to think they're friends now. Or maybe Paul Young, when he sees him cooking on TV, gets really pissed off. You know.
So, Paul, if you see a hat on Gumtree or Facebook Marketplace, it's Paul Young's. don't go lacing the pockets of Mr. DeCampo because it's nicked.
That's brilliant. If you're going to be famous for something like that, then do it with style.
Actually,
and the funny thing is, he's the one with the career now, and Paul Young isn't. Oh, that's probably brilliant.
That is. Apparently, well, I know Paul Young's wife passed away a couple of years ago, and I think he was going on about that some of the stuff. I think she had written some records, whatever, and that was some of the stuff that Mr. DeCampo nicked.
Oh,
it's a bit brutal. But anyway, if you're watching it, DeCampo, get your stuff back to Mr. Young, and there'll be no more said about it.
Yeah, exactly.
But
that's mega high up on the naughty list.
That wasn't what I found. It was something really stupid, and it wasn't like the lyrics to whatever it is, a Queen song that I've always thought it was something else or something stupid. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So anyway, a recap of 2020, and I'm going to kick it. I've got a little list here. I'm going to kick it off with this year. I would say, and you would probably agree with me, Mr. Wade, the rise of the Chinese handheld. What happened this year?
Well, it's been going on for a year, but it's all of a sudden, I would say that, stuff like the LDK game and things like that, they've nailed it. It used to be stuff was just awful, which I liked. I mean, going back years and years and years on my channel, I've done them. But it's like all of a sudden, like with the open Dingux boxes and stuff like that, and and you're getting quad cores and things like that. They've just nailed it. We were just, I mean, I've got a video of it, but I was just talking to Al about this behind the scenes, which is my new favorite Chinese knockoff emulator. It looks a bit big, I understand that, but think your laptop.
That is all kinds of awesome, though. Really
yeah, it's got a little compartment here. I mean, it's people are following on Facebook and like, you screw the joystick. It's micro switch, goes out to your TV. It runs up to PlayStation 1. I mean, I'm looking over there. I've got a shelf that's just full of them and stuff like that. But yeah, it's like all of a sudden they just nailed it. And the great thing is they have no respect for copyright whatsoever because it's China. No one can touch them for it. Because like that one there has got 2,500 games on it.
So yeah, I mean, there's been. I'm trying to think of the other
one I got another PT one. It's Chinese. This one's rather awesome, but it's got a Raspberry Pi in it. So, because it's got the coolest thing ever. If you pull the unit out, I love this thing, especially since it does Amiga. It's got its own little fan. But yeah, it does. That's another one. It's I don't know if it's a sort of collab or stuff like that because it's got Pidgin English instructions, which definitely reeks of the Chinese knockoff. But yeah, it's got a Raspberry Pi in it, which is like, especially for people like me who can't be asked to build one.
Yeah, so that'll be running emulation station presumably.
Yeah,
it's kind of based on RetroArch, I think it is.
Oh yeah, it's got both those logos really far out.
That's the thing. Raspberry Pi. I don't know if you've got a Raspberry Pi. What have I got? I've got a Raspberry Pi 3 and I can never point whatever it is. Anyway, that thing over my left shoulder. Just out of interest, is my Vectrex on my left side or is it on the other side?
It's on your right or my left.
Right, okay.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Anyway, what was I talking about? I mean, the Raspberry Pi, I've got one in my little RetroPie cab thing. I bought a RetroPie, not a RetroPie, I bought a Pi 4 about a year ago when it first came out, and it basically sat in the cupboard because they took a while to develop Raspberry Pi, RetroPie for it, and then I just bought have you seen the all-in-one keyboard Raspberry Pi?
The one that can properly do Amiga.
Aye, it's absolutely
looks stunning.
I'm actually waiting on a mate to send me. He's got an image he's going to send me, but it's basically a Bluetooth keyboard about that size, and it's awesome. I mean, it's really opened up the floodgates to, but it's such an easy way to just have. If I never had anything, if I had to sell all my stuff and get rid of my PC, then I could still scratch the nostalgia itch with a Raspberry Pi. But getting back to Chinese handhelds, I'm trying to think of what was I mean, what were the early ones? I mean, I've got the GPD XT, which I'm led to believe is still possibly.
I think one of the earliest ones I bought was the PAP K3 Plus, which was a long way away from where we are now, but just starting to get there. But the problem with all these early ones is they're all AV out, aren't they? And you get well, everyone knows this, especially if you're running on HDT, you get a shocking signal from AV. It's only sort of recently where they started putting HDMI on it, and then you've got the stuff like the Ambernic RG350s, haven't you? Things like that.
One of them, yeah.
They're amazing. The build quality on them is absolutely fantastic.
Nice. Yeah.
But yeah, the early ones were all, I don't even know I think they were probably open dingups as well. I mean, let's be honest, way, way, way back. The first one that I ever bought, and this is way before I had a YouTube channel, this was probably in 2009-ish, was the Dingu A320.
Oh,
and that was the first open Dingux machine where you could flash it and hack it and do what you want and put stuff on it. And that was, that to me was the first time I probably was got me into, these Chinese knockoff handhelds. But yeah, definitely. I mean, I don't think I have that one anymore. But yeah, I'm just looking at my shelf and I can't see them because they're all behind a massive amount of Funko collection figures. But my other weakness, by the way, outside of Chinese knockoff handhelds, is Funkos.
how many have you got?
I got about. No, I haven't got loads because I only go after specific ones from movies and stuff that I absolutely love. But then that's when they start to get expensive, isn't it? Because you start getting into the limited runs and stuff like that. But I haven't quite. I would say half my collection Back to the Future stuff. I'm not sure why.
I've got. Well, I mean, I don't know if they're the original ones, but I've got like all my sort of favourite Star Wars. Your Darth Vaders, your Chewbacca's, your C-3POs. So I've got about. I don't know. I've also got the one. What's he called? Hammerhead. I've got him as well. He was in the Cantina bar. So I've got about maybe 20 of them, I think. And part of buying them is thinking, oh, it's going to be worth a fortune in 5 years' time. I don't think these are, and that's why my girlfriend was buying this.
Please don't tell me you take them out of the box.
I just bought it. Have you seen it? Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
That is.
It's the talking one, right? Yeah. Oh, that's insane. Oh, that's brilliant.
I think it does other things, but I kind of bought that thinking it's going to be worth an absolute fortune. Unlikely, but I think. I mean, I bought the GPD XD, which I think it still goes for 170.
Oh, is that the folding one again?
Yeah, I'm not going to bother. Well, I'm going to get it because I'm going to show you another one in a second. Where the hell is it? Is that right there?
We should just rename this to Dave and Al Show and Tell.
There's the GPD XD. It's basically, it's the DS without. It's only got the one screen. Lovely. It's got the little analog knobs. I mean, I got that second hand, but I did buy, and this is why you need to be careful. I bought one of these brand new for about 170 quid, and it stopped working after about 6 months. And forget customer care. You've had it. If it breaks, unless you maybe buy it from, in the UK. I bought it from, from China. They don't respond. They don't respond to anything. It is. I mean, it does up to PlayStation. It is a lovely little thing. But I think now you're getting real quality ones for half the price. I mean, that GPD, not GPD, the Amberneck thing. It's a solid little device, and that was 60 quid. I think, was it?
Yeah, that's what I paid. £69 I paid for mine.
I noticed Steve Benway done one. I think he's a lucky, but I think he tends to kind of get given them, which is nice. There's an Amberneck, I think it is, and it's kind of chrome, kind of metally, I think.
Yeah. I saw the video on it. Yeah, because he updated the firmware, didn't he, as well?
Aye.
Because I'm a bit funny with updating firmware because he's probably far more technically minded than me, but I've burned myself a few times updating firmware like I did on my Pocket Go, and all of a sudden it got stuck in a factory settings mode, and all these games that weren't even on it in the main mode you powered it up, all the emulators changed and everything, and it's like, I was like, what the hell? What's going? Wait, none of this was on there. What have I done? Yeah, so I generally run them out of the factory settings, but
I remember buying a PSP, and it was second hand, and I mean back then I don't know how much was the PSP when they first came out. I don't know, 100, 200.
I was in Canada, so I couldn't tell you. They were like $300 something.
Aye, they were a lot of money, and I paid, I don't know, maybe £200 for this thing, and within about a week I was going to put a custom firmware on, and it's like, warning, this may brick your call, proceed at your own risk, and I'm like, X, and you're like, update, and I'm like, I just always fly with the seat of my pants. I've always, touch wood, I've never managed to brick anything yet, but...
Isn't it funny, though, that the PlayStation, the PSP, sorry, is still pretty much up there as an emulation device.
Aye.
All these years later.
And, you know, the whole what do you call it, Spectrum Vega 2, whatever it was called, debacle, where they basically got about £600,000 and nobody other than Guru Larry and a couple other people got prototypes which were absolutely shit. People were going on about, because it's a portable Spectrum, stick a little rainbow on it, you know, get a bit of sellotape, put it on it, get yourself a PSP, job's a good one, you'll get one for £30.
DS was really good for Spectrum as well, because you could use the keyboard, couldn't you?
Never actually tried. Tell me, have you ever played, have you got a R4 card for your DS?
Yeah.
There's a game, Manic Miner, and it's a special Christmas edition, Manic Miner.
Ooh.
In the Lost Levels, I've got a video of it. It is, I know you're big into your Christmas. Well, you need to play this game. It is beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. In fact, let me just have a quick wee look. See if I can find it. It's very, very, very Christmassy, and it's a brilliant game to boot. Just give me one little second, and I'm looking for that. So yeah, I mean, how many? Sorry, I'm looking here. I am talking. How many Japanese handhelds have you got then, do you reckon?
This sounds shocking when you say it out loud. Probably pushing about 30.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. I don't know. It's my weakness. Well, Chinese knockoff. I have a playlist. That's actually called Chinese knockoff tat. But not all of them are in there, because the thing is, some of them are so similar. There's not even that much point reviewing them. But you see them, and I can't help it. It's a weakness.
I'm going to share the screen for a second. Share screen, and I'm going to let you see this. It's a wonderful, wonderful share. There we go. Right, I'll just play that. Whatever.
As a gamer,
shut up.
When was it written? It was written maybe about long, completely unexpected. Usually, you know, even expecting, you know, it's something you weren't aware of. Garble point sort of blew me away. The timings with these.
Oh, there we go. Right, there we go.
You can use.
Look at that!
I'm using a 360 controller.
Oh, they updated the music as well.
It's been a good couple of years since I played this game.
Brilliant.
And the first level is savagely difficult. It really is. It took me a while to figure it out. So
it's just got a real.
I get on today.
It's got a really nice ambience to it.
Yes.
I think I do eventually get past level 1.
Oh, that was close.
Anyway, you need to go and check that out. That's on the DS. I'll send you the thing.
The graphics.
Yes, please. Wasn't Manic Miner the first game to have, maybe on the Spectrum at least, anyway, the first game to have in-game music?
Was it really?
Yeah, I could be wrong. I'm sure someone will point out who I am, but I got a nagging feeling. Because loads of games on the Spectrum had obviously title screen music. They never had it. I don't know if it was particularly difficult to do in the early days. No, I'm sure that was the first one. Calling it music might be a bit of a stretch these days, but
I mean, things like Dynamite Dan, and they all came after Manic Miner.
Yeah.
If anybody knows, was there a game that had, and it was in-game music on the Spectrum? Was that the first game? You might well be right. I mean, because Spectrums, I mean, even I've actually just literally finished a video that I've been doing for about 6 months. And it's featuring the Commodore 64, 1983, and the sound in 1983, even in the C64, was diabolical. There was no such thing as music, really, and obviously the Spectrum was even probably less, so you're probably quite right. I mean, the music's fantastic.
Well, it's a beeper chip as well, isn't it, back then? It's, not the AY chip. It's the 48K is not, like, I mean, it was a beeper chip, wasn't it? We used to do a little trick to get the sound or to increase the sound, where you would take, because you had your ear and your mic socket, didn't you, on the Spectrum, that went to your cassette recorder. And then if you took, I can't remember now, I should know this, because one's an earphone connection, one's a mic connection. You took one of them out, and then you press play on your cassette recorder. It would use the speaker in the cassette recorder, and the Spectrum music would come out of it. And that's what we used to do to make it loud, because it never came out the TV properly originally. So
I think you take for granted now when you play an emulator that you've just got the sound coming out the speakers, isn't it?
Yeah, I remember when we first got a 128, like the upgrade in the speaker on that, I was like, it blew my mind.
Just before we move on from Chinese handhelds, this bad boy, I'm going to let you see it. Now, I've never charged this, and I've had it for about 6 months. I mean, let me have a quick look. You've got the option to pick Chinese or English, so we'll go for English. Or is it English? I don't know. Start. There we go. Right, it doesn't matter. I'm going to. There you go. It's, come on, focus, God damn it! Can you see that? No, you can't see. Can you?
Right.
Come on, why is it not seeing it?
I think I have a similar.
There you go. You can.
Okay, yeah, it's still got shot.
Right. You can see what it is.
Yeah.
Right. How much was this? It's got about, I think I counted, and it's absolutely perfect. I mean, I'll let you hear it. So you can hear that. It's got about, I don't know, about 40 NES games. How much do you think it was?
£5.
Well, it was. I think it was just under £7 delivered. What I did was I went onto eBay, and I basically looked for the cheapest one I could get, just to see how pish it was. And you know what? I've never even charged it. It's fantastic. I mean,
yeah, the Game Boy form factor ones. There's loads of them. They're all on Amazon as well now.
£7 delivered from China. I mean,
I bet it didn't even take that long as well.
No, yeah, you know what? You're absolutely right. I think it came in a ridiculous length of time. Can I put a? No, I don't think there's a. No, it's got a volume. It's got a kind of, I don't know. It looks like a Nokia 3310 battery or something. Probably highly flammable, but anyway. I mean, you know, that's the other end of it. The point is, though, the Chinese handhelds has as you say, the standard has significantly improved. That even for something that's costs less than a probably magazine.
Yeah, I mean, let's put it into perspective. I know, and I bought this, so it's my fault. I bought the Super Mario Brothers 35th anniversary, Nintendo Game & Watch, and I love it. I really do. I bought it for that, for what it is, like the form factor and stuff like that. You get 3 games on it, and it was £40 odd or £49, and then you look at stuff like that. And there's stuff like that, and I've got it, and you get Chinese knockoff handhelds like Game Boy form factors that have NESs on them, and they have the entire NES library on them. And then you look at Nintendo, and you know it was also probably built in China. Yeah, they saw me coming, didn't they?
Forget that some orphans in China paid like 2 pence an hour to make the things, but I mean, yeah, it's so. How, just before we forget, I did watch your video. How do you find the Nintendo Game & Watch? Was it pretty good?
I really like it. Yeah, I mean, it's only got 3 games. You can hack it, but it hasn't got massive amount of memory in it, and I'm not going to hack it anyway. But yeah. I just like it because the attention to detail, is fantastic. And I got a soft spot for Game & Watch.
Yeah. Nah, you wouldn't want to hack something like that. Yeah, no, brilliant. Right, moving on. Again, part of 2020, I would say the... Oh, he's gone. Hang on.
Sorry, I was getting a beverage.
The death of the PS4. Maybe it's a bit over the top. Death of the PS4 and PSVR. I've heard that apparently... Have you got a PlayStation 4? You don't, do you?
Yeah.
No. Have you got... What's your most current console?
Current console? Well, does this count? Because this is what I bought instead of going next year. My most current console is Xbox One. An Xbox Series X is eventually in my my sights, but I don't buy consoles at launch. I really don't see that there's any point because they're the first generation of all consoles is going to have some inherent problem. I mean, they were talking about PlayStation 5 bricking. Well, the most inherent problem for PlayStation 5 was all the delivery drivers from Amazon were nicking them, weren't they? And Xbox One X's, Series X's, but I don't see the point when it comes to software because I mean, look at the start of the last generation's first year or so. It was all remasters, wasn't it? So I'll get Series X eventually, but probably not for at least 18 months.
Well, I've got here death of the PS4 and PSVR, entrance of next gen machines. I mean, obviously they're kind of interlinked. I mean, I'll be honest, I couldn't tell you the last time I had my PlayStation 4 on. Couldn't honestly tell. Well, you know, I'm a lying bastard. I switched it on 2 weeks ago just because I've got PSVR, and what I do is I jump in once a month for about 10 seconds to buy the games, and then I just switch it off again. And that's it. I've not actually used it. So I'm thinking a PlayStation 5. Yeah, I'll get one. And my daughter, she's quite into getting one. But I've been kind of watching the whole thing unfold on social media, and there is really nothing out there at the moment that makes me go, I want to get one of these.
Yeah, plus also, if you want to get a PlayStation 5, you're going to have to put an extension on your house.
Yeah.
It's a monolith. It's funny because when we all saw the original pictures of the Xbox Series X, we were like, it's huge. And it is kind of big, but then you see it because there was no sort of, until you saw them next to each other, you had no sort of image in your head about which one was bigger. Then you saw it next to the PlayStation 5, and the PlayStation 5 dwarfs it.
But there's just, I don't know, I think it's official, I am getting old, and I'm losing. I've not got any when people, if somebody put up the best game ever on PlayStation 5, I wouldn't even take the time to watch the video. I've got no interest in modern games, really.
Yeah. I know we just talked about it, but I personally have a more vetted interest in knockoff tech, Chinese knockoff tech. Because it's more interesting what they're doing with the tech, if that makes sense. I know it's knockoff, it's pirated games, essentially, stuff like that. But that side of it, where they've come this far, and they started off as shit, is more interesting to see where they're going. I mean, with PlayStation and Xbox, you would expect it to be amazing out of the bat.
I'm sure it is. And I think we've spoke about this before. We like our games to look like games. I don't want to play photorealistic graphics. And
that's why I like Quest 2, because it's a standalone. You can plug this into a PC and use it as a PC VR headset as well, which is quite nice. I don't know why I'm singing the praises of that, because I don't have a PC I can plug it into. But that's why I like the standalone nature of it, and the fact that the graphics in it are very nice. They're very nice for what they are. It's got a really, chunky Snapdragon in it, but they look like games. I don't want to be in a game, especially in virtual reality. Can you imagine being in virtual reality and it looks like real life? That's all kinds of wrong right there. Mm. You suddenly find yourself, pinching yourself and just going, which one am I in now?
I'll tell you what, since we've kind of come onto VR, I put out a video a couple of weeks ago all about VR. I've got the Oculus Quest, the original one. From what I gather, apparently the jury is out. I've watched a few comparisons, and I think like the two is a bit snappy, whatever it is, I don't know. But some people are saying the PlayStation, the original one is better for whatever. they're saying that if you've got either, is it worthwhile upgrading the two? No. If you've got either, then
I have to say, I was very surprised they brought two out only a year later. To me, that would have pissed me off if I was an early adopter.
Well, I bought that second hand. I think it was $280. I think I paid for it, and it's mint. It's absolutely mint condition. So I'm delighted with it. I was actually saying that to my daughter tonight. I was saying, I'm not seeing you playing the VR for a wee bit, and she said, I've just kind of got out of it, and I've not had that switched on for a while. But again, that's more to me. That's more down to me than the technology itself. Because I mean, and it's interesting the video that I put out. There's the number of people that will tell me, I've got no interest in VR. It's a gimmick, and I'm like, have you tried it? No. How can you possibly say it's a gimmick? All I would say to anybody is try it before you write it off, because I kind of equate playing VR to, I don't know, getting some really expensive chocolates, whatever, or having a sirloin steak for your dinner. You wouldn't want it every day, but just be able to jump in, dive into a VR game for an hour, watch a bit of Star Wars, whatever it is. It's mind-blowing, absolutely mind-blowing. And you and I will need to, I didn't actually realise you had one, you and I will need to swap whatever it is.
It's Facebook now.
And we can, And
that's
people,
one thing that did piss me off. In case everyone's wondering why I'm being so, nice and with my posts and, those swinging types of politics and stuff like that. If you get booted off Facebook, you can't log into it. You're left with a very heavy paper, a very expensive paper, which is shocking. Why I know why they've done it, but still, it's, to have Facebook to log into Oculus. But you know what we should definitely do and hang out in? We see if we can get Gas Said Steve to join us, because my favourite thing, and it's not even taking advantage of it fully, is the virtual cinema in it.
Yeah, is it? I can't remember what it's called. Yeah, the big cinema. You can chuck popcorn at each other, and you can draw in 3D.
I just wish every time I'm in it, people wouldn't like. This is me. If maybe a virtual cinema, you can watch people move around, and all of a sudden, some person you got microphones talking to. It's like, I don't care. This is virtual reality. Cinema rules are cinema rules. Shut up. I'm trying to watch the movie, because they actually do their own screenings, don't they? As well. It's not a case of you have to use an SD card. They actually, and they're older films. Well, I mean, and this is a bad example because it's a horrible movie. But it shows you that they're not super old. But Terminator Dark Fate was on it. They show you all the movies coming up. You set a reminder, then it'll tell you, tonight at 10 p.m. whatever zone of the world you are, is this movie. But what I've been doing loving in it, is I've been caning all the James Bond movies in it, because they just had a massive Bond, and it's like, it really is like being sat in front of a massive cinematic screen. It's fantastic. Yeah. And also the other thing is, I mean, it was brilliant on the Oculus Go, because I've heard people in reviews complaining about this. You can put headphones in, but people are saying the speakers on this aren't that. The speakers on this are phenomenal if you don't put headphones in, because I kind of like that, because you can still hear a bit of the outside world, in case someone else is in the room and things like that. Is yours got the Guardian system?
Yes, that is awesome. Have you tried the Anne Frank experience?
No.
Try it.
You literally go around her house.
Yeah, and you know what? You're inside their house, and you're like that. You're bending down. You're going like that. And you're leaning forwards. And you're looking at books on bookshelf. You absolutely, and then you're going to walk along the corridor and you go, bloody hell, and you suddenly jolt back into reality. You realise that you're in your bedroom. It's just, I mean, it's phenomenal. And I mean, I suppose, to me, I think I still don't, I think we're getting there as far as the actual experience goes, but I think until it maybe becomes completely like, you don't have to put anything on, or maybe it's just putting a pair of glasses on. The thing that puts me off it, using it for any length of time, is you've just got this thing, a bit like wearing the face masks at the moment. You've got this thing in your nose. That's kind of annoying. You get a bit, you take it off and your face is all bright red and you've got this big thing around your face. But I mean, it's awesome, absolutely awesome.
I understand why they've gone this route with this crap, because I think yours has the proper mounting, doesn't it?
Well, it doesn't matter. You know what it looks like. It's over there.
But because people say, because you can update, but the thing was, they did it to keep the price down to £300, which is a bit annoying because it's $300 in America. So once again, we still got stick. But the whole thing about it was keeping the price down and making it affordable. So you can update it, but it's another £50. But like you said, because it's on mine, it's like this, Velcro strap or whatever. The weight there, it's not mind, like mind-alteringly bad or anything, but you will feel it. Well, I say you will feel it. You won't feel it past 2 hours because that's the other bad thing about it is the battery life.
But 2 hours, I get more than that. I get maybe about 3 in that one. Yeah.
If I watch a movie, I'll get 3. If I'm playing a game, I'll get 2.
Aye. Well, what I've done is I've got a. Hang on, I'll go get it. Just 2 seconds. So I bought this. It's a PSVR carrying case. It's Amazon Basic, and it was £15.
Oh, nice.
So, and all you do, it's great. It's kind of like. It's quite solid. All you do is you take it's got like the foam inside it, and you just basically I just ripped a couple of bits out, and so the whole thing sits in there really nicely.
I might have to purchase one of those.
So there it's there. And what I've done is the bit of foam that I've taken out, I've just put that in like that, so it kind of protects it.
Nice. I wish that the one I've got, the 2, was the same colour as that. Why make something white?
Oh, so I actually quite like the white one. I was thinking I like that.
Oh, but the other thing is, and I like to just let everyone know before I say this, that I have exceptional hygiene, but the straps on these start to get dirty so quickly.
Oh, do they? Yeah. I suppose there's that. The only other upgrades I bought, and again, it was my mate, he came to the house before COVID, and he said, you need to get that, is I've got a pair of them, there's just little, there we go, they're little earpods.
Oh, nice,
but,
yeah.
You know what? Again, I don't even bother with them because the sound in that thing is fantastic anyway. And the only other thing that I've got, and it was about £12 off Amazon, is a big power bank. So that'll give you about another 3 or 4. It'll more than double. You'll probably get about 10 hours all in with.
I haven't tried it on this one because I'm being a bit guarded because obviously it was £300. But my Oculus Go, I did know that on that I could leave it connected to a power brick and have the power brick in my top pocket, and that would run it. Maybe I'll look it up because just like I said, because it was £300, I'm being a bit like not taking the chance of breaking it.
I promise you, it works. It works absolutely fine. It works perfectly. But one thing, I'll tell you. I mean, this is recommendation enough. I upgraded my graphics card just so I could use that in it. Wow. Right. Like Half-Life Alyx. It's just unbelievable. It's just the only thing.
That would be the reason I got a gaming PC. Is that's one of the holy grail games that I've got to play.
It's well, and have you ever seen the virtual arcade? Have you seen the virtual arcade?
No. What is it like? Is it real art? It's not like their own equipment. Is it real? You walk into an arcade and it's light as an arcade.
Have you never seen that? Wait a minute. Let me see if I can just share this. I'll just open up my Steam thing when I'm waiting. Where the hell's where's Steam about? There it's there. It does. I mean, it gets expensive when you're having to put a graphics card in it. But you know what? I just thought I'm going to do it. And the graphics card, what I've been told is, I mean, I went for the most expensive one I could afford. People have told me you're good for the next probably 5, 6, 7 years. I mean, every game I can run full speed in that. But just having been able to play, you can also play, any PC game you can play through the big screen as well. So it wouldn't be in 3D, but the fact that you can still play it. So it is a nice. If you're ever going to,
you need to get Star Wars Squadrons.
I think I've heard of that. Right, hang on a wee second. What am I looking for? New retro arcade neon play. Right, what I'm going to do is switch this on. No, we don't want to do VR mode. Just do right. Okay, play. Hopefully, I'll be able to share this with you in a second. But yeah, I mean, I just think VR is awesome. It's something you can just dive into and utterly lose yourself in it.
Plus, how good are these controllers? I had no idea. I always thought they looked weird, especially on the original one. But when you actually use them, these controllers are so good. And this actually serves a purpose, isn't it? It's for hand tracking. It's not because everyone says, well, "What's the point of that big ring?" But yeah, these things are so nice. And these still, I got this on October the 13th, and it's still the original AA batteries that came with it in each hand.
Even there we go. Hopefully, you can see that. Hopefully this will never, probably not work properly because I'm trying to show you. Don't know if you can. Oh, balls around there. Wait a minute. There we go. How do we? I'm just using the gamepad. How do we? Come on, how do we? Ah, there we go. We use the. How cool is this? I'm going to put it on the full screen just for a second so you can. Oh, I can't. I'm using the mouse. Right. Okay. Now it's not showing silky smooth on the stream, but trust me, this is 60 frames a second.
Oh, that is cool.
Look at it, even the. But bear in mind, imagine this in VR. I don't know how to. I'm not going to bother playing a game. So you've got all that.
That's far nicer than any of the arcades I went in as a kid.
You've got a wee kind of SNES here. Just imagine yourself in this. You can watch videotapes. You can pick up juice. You got Miss Pac-Man there. Oh, look. Robert the Cop. You can play darts. You can play popcorn.
How much is it?
What's that?
How much is it?
I think it was 14 quid. But you've got to basically build. Obviously, the ROMs don't come with it.
Ah, right.
But they're easily to download. I mean, I downloaded one. But it's just, and again, imagine this in VR. So you've got all that. You've got, I mean, what other games are little slugs? You can play 10-pin bowling. I mean, look at how good they look. You can play 10-pin bowling.
I'd have someone in the room stand behind me and smoke a cigarette or something just for that true, authentic 80s arcade experience.
Now look at it.
Smell it.
Look at the reflection in that 1942 cab.
That's amazing.
Right, wait a minute. Tell you what, I want to let you see. Sorry, I'm not boring you. I meant to go into the other one. That's the sort of the retro one. There we go. Leave
Well,
game.
since you can add ROMs, that was my next question then, Vic. I was just going to say, so you can play Star Wars Arcade, Atari.
Oh yeah, you could add them in. If you could add it in. Hang on. Right, I want to go to this. Right, this is beautiful. Wait to see this one.
Oh.
Oh, donuts. You can even pick up donuts and you can sit, and what you can do is you can put a tape into the video player, which is there, and then you can sit. Basically, you can watch anything that's on your PC.
Oh, that's wicked.
Let's have a wee look. This is the VIP section. Bit of fair hockey, anybody?
Is there a bar?
I think there might be. There's some pizza as well. Ah.
So cool.
Hey. I'm not sure how to turn it on. Anyway, we'll drop that. Anyway, listen, right, I'm gonna. It's the whole point. It is awesome. It is
Never need to leave your house. Just plug an IV drip into yourself. Put on some adult nappies, and then just never leave your front room again.
Right, I'm going to come out of this. Hang on. How do I get out of this? Alright, let's get back to that. Let's just drop that from there. But yeah, I mean, VR it might not be for everybody, but you know, for goodness sake, people, don't knock it until you've actually tried it. You know, for people to say it's a gimmick, have quite clearly never actually tried it.
Well, it's been knocking around. I mean, my first experience of it was in the arcades in the 90s. Remember those absolute massive cabinets? The update was you had a monitor in it, so people around you could see what you were doing. You had a helmet that was so like heavy, and
it was called, was it virtuality or something? It was called. That was the one, Games Master in the consultation zone, I think it was.
Yeah, the last game I think I ever played on it was one called Pterodactyl Nightmare, where you actually sort of stand on a little pod. It has a banister around it as well to keep you safe. You've got a headset, and there's a pterodactyl flying around, and you've got to kill it with a gun. And it's so crude, but the point being that something that's supposedly a gimmick has been knocking around for the best part of 30 years in a playable form.
Yeah, but I love it. I think it's absolutely fantastic. Just the next kind of thing I want to kind of mention. Do you think we've now seen sort of the death of the tangible media, because we're all about digital downloads now, aren't we? I know it's a thing that gamers like ourselves have been talking about for quite a long time, but I think it's on a matter of time before we can all get physical.
Yeah, sadly. I mean, the fact that both Microsoft and Sony's new consoles have a digital only version means it's coming, and also to some degree been there for a very long time, which is, you look at patches and stuff like that, which is, I mean, I haven't installed a new Call of Duty yet. It's my parents have got me it for Christmas, so yeah, because I still enjoy Call of Duty, Cold War. But my brain said note to self, because since I have to work Boxing Day, I thought note to self, make sure I install it before Christmas Day, or I'm not going to be able to play it. And someone said, well, yeah, but it's only the patch, and it's like they have to do that. But like, well, I mean, I know patches and tweaks and stuff like that, but here's an idea. How about release a game in somewhat of a playable final version? I'll pay for it. Just put more than one bloody Blu-ray disc in there. Just to put one Blu-ray disc in, so you got to download the rest. It means we've almost really kind of been stuck at this point. I mean, the nail in the coffin, like I said, is because both these machines had digital-only versions. But we've been so reliant, and the last generation, the 8th generation, will be the first generation that there's a whole bunch of games that if you buy once the servers are down, even though they're single player and they have a single player campaign, you're not going to be able to play them because you're not going to be able to finalize the installation.
Do you think that that's something that this sort of current generation are going to bother about, that they can't play a game? Because most people don't play games from 40 years ago. I mean, Christ, you and I are playing games from 40 years ago. Do you think that will bother people that are like my daughter, for example, 17 years old? Do you think she'll bother the fact that she can't play the Sims 6 on the PlayStation 6.
No, that's a good point. Yeah, it's a generational thing. I think it's because for our generation, physical media was such a part of. I mean, look at us. We loaded games in on cassette and stuff like that. It was such a part of it. It's just ingrained into us that it's such a weird alien concept. Because even though we appreciate all modern technology, when you've grown up with your first three systems, you know, like 16K, 48K, 1 to 8K Spectrum, you know, Amstrad, Commodore, stuff like that, were all physical media. I think it kind of makes it a little bit, this sounds like such an old man thing, a little bit hard to let go of, even if it is just a disc at these points. But yeah, I think you're right. I think your average person these days is like a kid and I'm going to care. In fact, they'll just be obsessed with onwards, upwards, must have the best, fastest, newest, shiniest thing.
I mean, I think it was a big part. Well, it wasn't a big. It was the big part of back in the day. I mean, I had a C64, you had a Spectrum. You had to make a choice. I mean, you couldn't go into an app store and just. It was like, oh, I don't know, Exploding Fist has just been released. You know, you read, in my case, I would read Zap 64 and it would go, you know, 9 out of 10, and I would rush to the computer shop. And even before I am that old that I was buying computer games before John Menzies and Boots sold games, and the only place I could get a game, well, technically you could buy it by mail order. I didn't buy anything on mail order. It was going to this little independent computer shop, and he may have not had it in. You had to say, "Oh, can you order that for me?" And he'd order it up for you. But that was a massive part. You had 10 quid in your pocket. Will I buy that? And you'd look at this. You'd look at the back of the case. Again, I don't know. And I want that.
And they lied. Don't forget, they lied to us on the backs of the cases in those days.
Other systems may vary.
Yeah. and then a whole bunch of Imagine games when they have those. Do you remember Imagine cases have those really nice clamshells?
Oh, you're talking about reimagined Imagine.
Yeah, the Ocean Imagine.
Yeah.
And they were so bad at it. I remember how I got suckered in for Yaya Kung Fu, looking on the back. I always called Dave, you were such a simpleton. Even though I didn't read it, saying, you know, may not be actual version shown here or contained here. It was. You'd had a Spectrum, Dave, at this point for 2 years. Clearly, that was the arcade. What was wrong with you? That was £7.95, and you were never getting back.
So did the Spectrum? Like, here's a true story. The guy that programmed the Spectrum version actually lived about he lived about 5 miles where I used to live. He was like 14 years old when he programmed the Spectrum version. So did the Spectrum version have arcade screenshots in the back?
Yep. You know what? The Spectrum version wasn't bad. I have more, you know, love of it as an adult, but it was just like. And the thing is, but they'd already released games at this point on the Spectrum that actually had the screenshots on the back. So it's like, I don't know. But the thing is, arcade licenses, because I was thinking maybe they had to get their money back because it was expensive to get an arcade license, but it wasn't. They did all kinds of weird deals, didn't they? Same with movie licenses. You know, the reason that for years, the reason people thought that Highlander on the Spectrum and Commodore, no, it's not an arcade game, was such a bad game was the deal they struck with the movie company to make it would have crippled them financially if they had to pay back on it. So they just thought, we'll just make a fucking awful game and it won't sell. That's an urban legend now. But point being, it wasn't like they had to drop a massive chunk of money, you know, to secure it. It was all about, you know, retaining parts of your profits and stuff.
I remember when I interviewed Gary Bracey, I did ask him about that, and he did admit that it was absolutely shit. It was a terrible game.
Which hurts me because it's my second favorite movie of all time, and I've always wanted a good Highlander game. And
did you watch it recently after Mr. Sean Connery passed?
Yes, I watch it once a week anyway because it's you know, it's just a smidge behind Back to the Future for me. But that was gutting you. Would you like a really interesting and cool fact? Have you seen Highlander?
Yes. But I'll tell you now, I could watch a film last weekend and you could be talking to your mate about the film, and I would be sitting there thinking, and you would say, what about the bit when he comes out the bath and oh, I can't remember. I've got his shit. I've got
it's
no.
Just a fun fact. It's just
I've
a
got no
fun fact
knowledge
that
of
I
it.
know.
I have seen it, but I've got no knowledge of it at all.
As a Scotsman, I would have thought it was required viewing on a weekly basis. No, there's a bit right at the start when Connery does a monologue, which is and it's all echoey and stuff. You see the words on the screen and he reads them. It's like, from the dawn of time we came, moving slowly down amongst you, waiting for the quickening. I can't remember it now, but which is shocking because normally I can quote that movie perfectly. And that was recorded after the movie was in the can being the appropriate word here, because they needed Connery to record that monologue. And the reason it echoes is not because some cool little filter to make it sound, ooh, he's immortal. He recorded it. I think he recorded it on the phone in his toilet. And that's why it echoed.
Exactly. It's funny how a lot of these things, like, I mean, one of the things that I was gobsmacked about was when I was lucky enough to talk to the guys from Magnetic Fields who did Turbo Outrun on the, well, I think they made the finest racing games on the 16 bits, hands down. And when I asked them, so who was in your team? Me and Andrew. No, who else was in? Me and Andrew. I did the programming, he did the graphics. There was like
amazing, isn't it?
Two guys programmed that entire game.
It's insane when you think about it. Well, that's what will ever be one of my favorite things about being a kid was I could never do it. But you read all these people like Imagine, but obviously Imagine they flushed all their stuff down the toilet, didn't they? They were just insanely wasteful with money and stuff like that. It's a Pixel thing's got a documentary up. It's about is it Psygnosis, the history of Psygnosis, and loads of them came from Imagine, didn't they? But right at the start of this documentary, it's just up on YouTube. It's new. It's about the fall from grace of Imagine and when they brought up by Ocean. But the point being, these guys were like, I was in 1984, I was 9. But you see these people like 14, 15, 16, 17, and then you see some of the people who were 17 because they're old enough to drive. But kids who program games in their bedrooms, driving around in Ferraris and BMWs and stuff. And it was because of bedroom programming. It's insane. Now, that was always that thing, which is, if I just learned to program, who knows? I never did. It's too interested in playing games. But it was like kids not that much older than you, they were celebrities, basically.
Do you remember in Imagine that they had they're not what would they call, like the Wonder Games, Bandersnatch and Cyclops.
Oh, yeah.
There's a screenshot of Eugene Evans, who features in Eugene's Lair, there's a guy with a beard, and there's two other guys, and the four of them are like standing over a monitor like that. Can he point?
That's right. Yeah.
The guy with the beard is called John Gibson. I was talking to him on Facebook on Tuesday, and I says, John, I've got this wee YouTube channel. I love to talk to people who are involved in the industry. And I sent him Jim Bagley's interview, and I says, I would love to have you on and just to catch up. And he got back to me, says, listen, Al, says, thanks very much, he says, but I've kind of had a stomach full of these things over the last couple of years. I says, well, listen, when you're ready to do it again, make sure I'm the first person to shout. So with any luck, I'm going to get him on, because I would absolutely love to know the history of Ocean, because he was, I mean, his name was nickname was Grandad, and he was 30. But I'll give you a story. That was one of the things that I was talking about. What was I listening to? There's a Scottish programme. It's called Off the Ball. It's all about football, but they talk about other stuff. And they were talking, do you remember, I know you're a football man, he played for Scotland and he also played for Aberdeen, called Ian Jess.
Yeah, it rings a bell.
He was like the Scottish Michael Owen, though he never quite did it. He wasn't as good. But he was like the wonder kid. He is 50 years old, and we're like, how can he be 50? Clive Dunn, when he was in Dad's Army, was 41 when he first appeared in Dad's Army. I'm 12 years older than Clive Dunn. And what's that Scottish guy, One Foot in the Grave? He was 43 when he first appeared in One Foot in the Grave.
No. That's insane. But then it's weird. You watch movies that you watch when you were a kid. You don't process that you're older than the character in that movie. If you grew up watching it, you know what I mean? It's like Back to the Future. Michael J. Fox, Back to the Future. You know, at that point, my brain would always think he's older than me because I saw it in 1985.
Aye, it's true. What have you seen? I've seen pop-ups on Facebook. There's a stage show, Back to the Future.
Back to the Future, the musical.
Are you interested in going to see that?
I would love to see that, but it doesn't tour that much. In fact, is it only in this country? Which is weird because quite a large amount of people in it are American. Yeah, it doesn't. I mean, I got the 4K version, anniversary version of Back to the Future, and there's a little.
By the way,
yeah.
Are they better than Blu-ray? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, insanely better. But they're not. It's weird. Special effect shots are in. This is my understanding. I mean, you wouldn't notice it, but special effect shots are in 2K, but standard film is in 4K because in order to process, I'm sure I might be wrong. This is someone's going. I watched a documentary on that, so maybe someone's going to point out that I'm wrong in the comment section. But yeah, in order to process special effect shots, because it takes so long, they just do them in 2K, not 4K, which begs the question: since 8K is here now technically, does that mean 8K? The standard movies in 8K, but when you get special effects, I mean like computer graphics. When you get computer graphic shots, they're in 4K. Because, you know what I mean? It's like you're all forever playing catch-up. But it looks fantastic. It looks phenomenal. The only problem with Back to the Future is Blu-ray did this to some degree, but now Back to the Future does it, is little things like I can't stop staring at, like Christopher Lloyd, you can see the makeup on his neck when he in the car park, because obviously he had like prosthetics on to make him look a bit older, and you can see it, almost see like glue stretch marks.
I think there's something. In fact, I was talking to a guy at work about this today because he's wanting to buy a TV, and I was saying personally, I think the best TV you can get is a Samsung. I bought a Toshiba. My girlfriend's got a Samsung, and I kind of wished I got the Samsung. But we were watching. What were we watching? We were watching on YouTube. No, it was a program. 25 of the best musicals. And it had things like the Wizard of Oz, and I don't know, Singing in the Rain. And there was one which I love called Meet Me at St. Louis, and it's a Christmassy film with Judy Garland. And they showed you a clip of this film. Now Judy Garland's been dead probably the best part of 60 years. I might be wrong. I know she's dead, but I don't know when she died. But seeing her in this film, it was like she was in HD, and it just looked totally wrong.
Yeah,
how can that be so sharp? And we've watched a few films on her TV, and it is not Julie Garland's, my girlfriend's, and it's just ridiculously sharp. And it actually looks like we watched Night at the Museum, which I think is a great film, and I was sitting watching it, and it almost felt like I was standing watching them behind the camera, watching them film. It was just too sharp. Whereas my cheapo Toshiba, the picture quality is not as good. And I don't know. I just think too sharp is not really a good thing.
I remember when SVHS was the leap forward.
I was watching SD stuff up until I don't think you can get SD now, but I was quite happy with SD. Not a problem. Doesn't bother me. I mean, I know I was up at when I was looking to get my telly. I went up to Curry's, and I was just having a look at the different TVs, and I said to the guy, says your 8K one has as much as that. He went £15,000. I went, right, give me two. And I says how many have you sold? He went, none. Because there's nobody that lives in my area that could afford the 15 grand.
Do you know what? Right, if people work hard and they earn their money and stuff like that, they can spend it on what they want. But at the same time, to me, there was just something inherently wrong spending that amount of money. Because what would you think was more important, like from a practical nature, car or your TV? You would say your car for being able to move around, being able to go to work and stuff like that. I wouldn't even spend 15 grand on a car. You wouldn't see the point.
Mark Lactobacillus Prime or Lactobacillus Prime. I always call him the wrong name. Apologies, Mark. He bought himself an old school stacking separates, and I thought, you know what, I want to get one of them. I'm going to get
I
one.
remember them.
So
I had a Pioneer one back in the. Do you know what? What console was it? I got rid of my my Super Famicom because I did a video on this years ago. I mean, I had my Mega Drive, my Super Famicom, and imported my Super Famicom, and then I had it for a couple of years, and because of the PAL ones were so crap, and I just was bored of it at that point, and there was a whole gap. I didn't do any gaming until the Japanese PlayStation came out, so I actually swapped my Super Famicom and its games for a whole bunch of stuff with my mate's brother. And I had this stereo for years. He gave me a Pioneer stack system, and it was mind blowing. Pioneer were like a proper brand back in the day. I don't know if they still exist, but yeah, I had a Pioneer, and I still to this day I remember. I only threw it away about 5 years ago, and there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, it had a multi CD drive before multi CD drives were even a thing, and yeah, I just have this thing because it's weird. Stuff comes full circle, but it was such good quality. I really wish I hung on to that. Back now, aren't they?
Go into Gumtree and you'll probably find your Pioneer system for 50 quid. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Anyway, I thought to myself, there's a shop in Edinburgh, and they do, I can't remember what it's called. They do well, I thought it was Bargain Basement Hi-Fis, and I thought I'll get a full system. I mean, it's old. Who wants an old CD player? I thought I'll get a full system for 100 quid brand new. I think that an amplifier was the cheapest was 400 quid. I'm like, what? And the record deck was £300. I'm like, wow. So I ended up buying one. On, where did I get it? I picked it up and I got it for about 50 quid. But it's fantastic, absolutely fantastic. And a mate of mine's gave me these huge. Now that my said mate is loaded. He's really rich, and he gave me. He said, you want these speakers in the CD system? So I knew it was going to be quality gear. And the speakers are about, I don't know, 4 feet high off the thing. They're kind of teak, and they've got the three speaker things in them. And I've connected it up to my Alexa Dot thing. She's not plugged in. That's good. And wow, see, be able to play your tunes through these big speakers. I've got them in my kitchen. And well, I don't know. You've probably seen it. I picked up a second arcade machine. Went down to Newcastle, bought this full size arcade machine, MAME cab. So there you go. When you come up, we can have a bit of 2-player stuff. And I was sitting a couple of nights ago. What was I playing? I think I was playing Slap Fight or something. I was sitting at my arcade. I was standing at it actually, and I had some Howard Jones blasting out the speakers. And I'm sitting playing these arcade games, and it's just it's 1985 all over again. Wicked.
Nice. Those old arcade machines had some bass in them, didn't they?
Well, this thing's got a it's got a subwoofer in it, so I can turn it up nice and loud. Just absolutely awesome. But yeah, listen, just kind of moving on, Dave. I'm conscious of time. I don't want to keep you too long. This year, again, we've seen a bit of an explosion in the mini systems thing. Most recently, being the what's your thoughts on mini systems? Lots of people go, "Oh, they're emulation. Get a Raspberry Pi." Crap.
Oh, I hate that argument, and I like Raspberry Pis.
Yeah.
But the thing is, right, that's another side of Chinese knockoff tech. It's the fake knockoff mini systems, which I'm also a big proponent of. But I love mini systems. I really do. In fact, hang on. Yeah, they're exactly my bread and butter. I remember because of COVID, what a pain in the ass it was for me to get this. It's going to show up.
All right, nice. The Turbo Graphics.
I've got the Core Graphics one as well. I bought the Core Graphics one, which was never released in England. Well, I know none of them were, but the Core Graphics one, I think some French company maybe sold them in Europe for a bit, but that was the model they sold on Amazon for the UK. The Japanese one was obviously Japan, TurboGrafx. And I had a TurboGrafx 16. I bought it in America in 1991. And that was the one for North America. But yeah, as soon as COVID kicked out, Amazon said, we're not sending you it. Sorry. Because they're not shipping outside of Japan. The stock to these places. So I found this for a private seller, and I think I paid £100 or something for it, which I was completely fine with and stuff like that. But I love them. I particularly like these ones. The little sort of Easter eggs on here and stuff. Then I've got a Mega Drive Mini down there, which you've got as well. But
yeah,
I've got the True Blue Mini card in it, which has got 850 games. So you don't even have to hack it. You just stick a memory stick and port to.
How simple is that to do? Faff?
You've got to download something onto your PC, and it's very simple, like really, really simple, because True Blue sticks plug into your PlayStation Classic and just work off, outright. But for some reason on the Mega Drive Mini, you have to do something. But you literally, it comes with a cable, and you plug the cable into your Mega Drive Mini.
It's a pack you have to buy. There you go. Yeah.
I think I didn't do the full process of it, but if you look at my Mega Drive Mini video, I think I say at the start, do a really quick overview, which is you need this piece of software, you need this, you do this, and that's it. And it's really simple. It's like literally 30 seconds.
I watched your video. I think when I watched it, I think I thought that you didn't have to buy it. I think, and then I realised you have to buy it, and I've never actually. Where's my Mega Drive? The box.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure you can hack them yourself. I was lazy. But the funny thing is, the people who make the True Blue Mini saw that video and then started sending me them to review.
Sorry, yeah.
Yeah, I'm all about freebies. I never asked, but I won't say no.
I was hoping for I've got the PC Engine down there. Whatever it is, it's the PC Engine. What does that say? Core.
Oh, you have got core graphics then?
It's the wee grey one.
Yeah, grey one with a blue logo.
That's what I've got. I've got one of them, yeah, and I've got the turbo.
What was it? The difference between that and the original one in Japan is TV out on it, isn't it? I believe.
I don't know. I couldn't tell you. But
still great looking. You could argue it's a mini system in itself from its size.
It is. But I would like the thing that I like about people say, oh, it's not the real thing and it's emulation. As I've said loads and loads and loads of times, yeah, back in 1985, it was all about you got things, computer chips. Things have moved on so much now that you can buy a piece of hardware which it's emulated. Who gives a shit if it's emulated? It's like people saying watching a film because it's Wi-Fi, that's not a real film. You're not watching. It's got to be a videotape. Oh, if you watch a film on Netflix, it's being streamed, therefore you're not watching the film. Of course you are, bollocks. Let's move with the times, folks. Playing a game, whether it's I don't give a two smegs about if it's emulated. Does it look like it? Yes. Then what's the problem? I mean, I was when I was at the computer club long before I think it was last year. I took along my SNES Mini, and a guy had the original SNES. And we put a game on, I think it was Mario Kart, and we went 1, 2, 3, tink, and they were absolutely in perfect sync. And then we loaded up, Super R-Type, whatever the hell it's called, and there's slowdown, and even the SNES Mini thing slowed down, so they've absolutely nailed it. So who gives a shit whether it's emulation or not?
They're multiple people that they're aiming for, aren't they? They're the people who have the system as a kid but have no intention of buying it again, modding it and all that stuff and getting to work on HD TV. And then also there's the people that never had it and it's a Christmas gift. It's an entry gift. Look, they don't want to put any more games on it and stuff like that. I mean, when purists start arguing, no, you should do this, you should do that. Well, you're cleaning up one of the individuals that this is aimed for, so just jump on by and leave it. I don't understand why if you're never going to buy something, then it's not for you. Then good, it's not for you. But you don't have to go out of your way and rubbish it for everyone else.
Okay, that's what people do that all the time. They knock something just because usually they're never going to own it. Well, there's plenty of things that I've got no interest in. My mate will spend $500 on a golf club, but I don't go into a golf club forum and say, why would you waste money buying golf clubs? I've got no interest in it. So. Leave us to our own devices. Yeah. But
why spend that much money on a golf club when you can buy an 8K TV for $15?
Or a MAME card, yeah, plus a PlayStation Mini or whatever. What was I going to say there? Aye, the thing that I love about these mini systems is as I've witnessed. I brought out my CD 32, which was the Amiga thing, plugged it in, doesn't read discs. So things are, and I'm like a baboon wearing boxing gloves. I'm completely, me and welding, soldering. No, I wouldn't even attempt it. So when my stuff eventually breaks, which it will do, then I'll just sell it as broken. And the lovely thing about a Mega Drive or a SNES Mini, I can plug it in. I don't have to plug it into composite. I can plug it into my HDMI and switch it on, and there's no fucking about with it. It's just boom, away you go.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Oh, so it's a preservation, like you said, it's convenient preservation is the phrase I'm looking for.
It'll allow us to continue to play, and that's why I love the Spectrum Next. Love it. Fantastic little machine. Do I play Next games on it? No, I just use it for playing Spectrum games. But the fact that I can plug it into my telly over HDMI and it's got an SD card and I press a button and I've just got all these games. It's fantastic. Yeah. If my original Spectrum or that thing decides to give up the ghost, I don't really care too much because I can still play Spectrum games and I can play them on my big telly.
It's just the concept, because I've got the original Vega, which was good. They were, that was proper and decent stuff like that. But even that's not HD, so it just makes me laugh at the thought of playing ZX Spectrum games in HD. It's just,
it just looks absolutely insane. So, do you think there's still mileage left in the mini systems, or have we kind of?
I do.
Have we flogged it to death?
Yeah, I think as long as they don't come out anywhere between sort of same company doesn't, flood it and dirty, and at least a year between it, then I could see stuff. I mean, I would really, really like, but it will probably be the one that we won't get because emulating it's getting there now, but obviously you want to make your mini system usually for around about £100. I would love a Sega Saturn Mini.
Mm.
I mean, Sega teased it, didn't they, on their was it their Twitter account or Instagram? I can't remember. Going back a few months ago, that apparently they dropped a hint that they were going to do a Dreamcast movie, which I would very much like as well.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this might, isn't it? You just got to be careful not to oversaturate. As long as you don't do that and piss people off, then it becomes it loses that kind of coolness. Then it just becomes a cash grab gimmick. As long as it's I don't need what I'm saying is I don't need a mini of every single system I had back in the day, but certain iconic machines. I mean, the reason I like a Saturn one is it's held in far higher regard now than it was back in the day, and that would make it prime mini material. And put it this way, we really don't need a PlayStation 2 mini. I'm sure people would argue with me on that one, but no. But then, like with the Dreamcast as well, because it suffered an early death. Things like that makes them cool, and viable to be a mini.
Yeah. What about the N64? There seems to be people seem to think that's going to come out, and that is as much as people think that N64. I don't have any real. I did buy one when it came out. I don't have any real nostalgia for it at all. I don't even have any nostalgia for the PlayStation. I don't know why. I don't know what it is. But the N64, the emulation is, if you plug in a real N64 into an LCD telly, it looks shit.
Yeah, it looks Vaseline.
Emulation is pretty pants. So I think the best way, in my opinion, to play an N64 is on one of these things, because you can upgrade the graphics. It looks nicer. It's really, really nice. So I think a mini, or it doesn't even have to be a mini, just bringing out a reimagined N64 would be nice. I would definitely buy one of them.
They would never be able to put the one game on an N64 mini that everyone would want to buy it for, though, would they?
GoldenEye.
They'd never be able to get the rights to put GoldenEye on it.
What was that one? Sorry? Or GoldenEye?
Yeah, because it's Microsoft, isn't it now? So.
Of course, we're here. Yeah, that's right.
But if they did release an N64, and I have an N64 and I have GoldenEye, but like you said, it looks pants. But if they did release an N64 mini and say they got the emulation running absolutely perfect, I mean, I would buy it for GoldenEye. but they never have it. So, because this is a weird one, I've argued with these people before, they find this mind-blowing. I understand how technically great these games are and what achievement they were and how they propel gaming forward, but really couldn't care about Mario 64. Really couldn't care about Ocarina of Time. You know, so the games they could put on that mini, and obviously it wouldn't be many, so to make me interested in buying it, it's, yeah, GoldenEye or not interested.
It's funny how you're talking about the Saturn. I never had a Saturn back in the day. I had a PlayStation or the N64. I know you're a massive PlayStation fan, and I was a massive PlayStation fan, but I struggle to kind of go back to these systems because they're just bloody ugly looking.
Saturn, though, where it beats PlayStation, obviously, the most. I do like the 2D sort of sprite-based games on the Saturn because it was exceptional at those. Whereas the PlayStation didn't have the memory, did it? So, but yeah, only 3D, all those meshes and frames and clipping and the draw distance is literally 30 centimeters in front of your eyes. Yeah, don't miss them. I mean, with all the memory sticks I've got, because I got 4 True Blue Minis for PlayStation. Yeah, the 2D games are the ones I play more. Can especially in HD. I put Ballerina Toasted on once just to see what it looked like because that was the first game I had on my Japanese PlayStation back in the day, and put it on once, and in HD I just looked and just went, "Dear God, this is shocking."
But yeah, I got a Sega Saturn 10 years ago, and that's one that's plugged into my TV. I play it a lot. It's a fantastic console. Whereas I never had it back in the day, but it's the one that gets the most use. But so yeah. So do you think we've kind of almost flogged the mini system today? Do you think at some point we'll get a mini Xbox 360?
You know what? Oh, it is a scary thing. What is it? 15 years since the 360 was launched, isn't it?
Nice.
So maybe another 15 years, which brings it up to 30 years.
You know what they need to do though, and this is just quickly going back to the PlayStation 5. I heard that the PlayStation 5 has got a terabyte drive. Now, by the time you take off the operating system, I think you're left with 800 gig. And apparently the average game is about 80 gigs. So I think you can I'm sure I heard you can fit on maybe like 6 or 7 games. And bear in mind, if you've gone for the digital download one, you're going to have to download like an 80 gig game. So you're going to be constantly on, I'm going to have to take that game off to put this on. I bought a 10 terabyte hard disk, USB disk about 6 months ago, and it was about 140 quid. I would rather pay an extra 100 quid and they stick a 10 terabyte drive in it.
Yeah.
I don't know why they're putting minuscule little drives.
Yeah, because it's all about that price point, though, isn't it?
I think that's exactly what it is.
But that price, like you said, but that price point is false. You know, it's a false price point because if you're not going to want to constantly juggle games, then you're going to buy the extra drive yourself. So for sheer form factor, convenience, and it looking nice, not having stuff hanging out the back, I agree with you. Just stick it in the system and slap on an extra 100 quid. Because when I be buying it, realistically, I'll be buying a second-hand one anyway.
Well, that's what I'll wait for it to come in a bundle and maybe come down in price a wee bit as well. So, listen, just quickly getting on to just Christmassy stuff before we kind of close, Dave. I decided to put my Space Invaders T-shirt on tonight. I don't usually wear novelty T-shirts.
Are you surprised?
Hey, fantastic! What do you find? Because are you in your family and your friendship groups? Are you labelled a retro gamer?
Yeah. Whereas, I mean, right, I know it's in my banner on YouTube, stuff like that. I say I'm a retro gamer, but because I have modern systems, I may not be going to the current gen, the new gen, whatever, immediately. But I always consider myself a gamer. But then I guess why people say that, why they label you specifically retro gamers, why wouldn't they when you see the sheer amount of old stuff you have and that you're still on a regular basis buying old stuff? So, you know what? I consider myself just to be a gamer, but I can completely understand the handle.
So something that I've found over the years is because I'm a retro gamer, people buy you Christmas tat, gaming related tat. You know, you'll get a Space Invaders calendar, or you'll get, you know, a Space Invaders t-shirt, whatever. And they buy you. I've been bought shit presents because it's based on video games. I think, oh, he's going to love that. Oh, thanks very much for that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. I'm not mentioning any names here, but I've got one or two things which you just think, why would you give someone that for Christmas or their birthday? But they've not drilled down into, you know. So if you buy me a ZX Spectrum shirt, absolutely amazing. But things like, and no offense to Commodore kids, because I like it now. I didn't have one then, and obviously I got a Commodore Mini. But I'm not the person to buy a Commodore 64 related thing for Christmas. If that makes sense. But like you said, they just go, well, it's retro and it's gaming. He'll love it.
Or what annoys me is, I mean, it was my ex sister-in-law. She bought me. I mean, I think that's like the official Space Invaders. She bought me one, and it was like a generic knockoff Space Invader.
Oh, that's just Let me. I love it.
It didn't even.
And then it's cut up into rags for tea cut.
It didn't even look. I mean, it's bad enough buying you. It's bad enough buying some, you know, cheapo handheld thing that's got a kind of bastardized version of Space Invaders, but to actually buy a T-shirt that's got like these graphics on it, it's like no. We've all had them. So just the last thing I want to kind of just talk about, Dave. How do you think? Sort of touching on the whole COVID thing, how do you think this Christmas is going to differ from other Christmases for people?
Well, I think a lot of people, it's not going to be extended family, is it? They're going to be smaller, more. You know, I mean, I know the restrictions are being lifted for Christmas and stuff like that, but a lot of people, because of their bubbles and stuff like that, and health conditions and things, you're not going to get your big fat rolling, huge family Christmases. It's going to be very subdued. Well, not that there's anything wrong with that. Subdued, smaller sort of affairs. But more importantly, though, at least they can still have Christmas. Mm-hmm. It's what I always said, and my parents always said to me as a kid, you make do with what you got. But there were far worse things out there than not being able to have a massive Christmas.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, I do feel sorry for. I mean, there are obviously going to probably. I mean, there's always people who spend Christmas on their own. There will be there is going to be people who are on their own at Christmas time, and that is sad. I mean, my personal opinion is I think we're in this together, and sort of lifting it for a couple of days. I'm not overly comfortable. At my work, I've got to wear a mask the whole day. Unless I'm in my office, I can take it off. The minute I step outside, the mask's on. I don't know, but here's hoping when we're making this next year, we can look back at 2020 and laugh.
While we wait for because the thing is, this is a bad joke. While we wait for the next pandemic to arrive, because the thing is, what was it? There was SARS, pig flu. There'll be another one.
But as long as we've got a YouTube channel and video games to play, we're golden.
As long as I got a YouTube channel and video games to play, I don't need to leave the safety of my house. Which unfortunately is not true because I've worked the entire year.
But listen, guys, we're going to draw this one to a close. As always, Dave, it's brilliant. I'm not exaggerating. It's brilliant to have you back in the channel, mate. We need to keep this going because. Thank
you very much for having me on. It's always a pleasure.
It's been a privilege.
I guess sorry it's been so long.
Like
you said, it's been a shitty year, and it's not for not wanting to be on it. Put it that way.
For different reasons, which we're not going to go into. But I know we mentioned about we were going to do a UFO special when Dave gets his ass up to Scotland once the restrictions lift.
You know what? Yeah, they can abduct me. Take me off this disease-filled planet.
We are going to do a camping trip up at Declan Hill, just up there, the site of the famous UFO attack. We will get that done, absolutely. I'm looking forward to getting that done, hopefully next summer.
Well, your border's closed as well now, isn't it?
Pardon?
Isn't your border closed?
I don't know. I couldn't. I have no idea.
Sure. This is what we call it down south. I'm sure evil Jimmy Cranky closed the border. Come on, does she or does she not bear a strong resemblance to Jesus?
I'll be honest with you. I can't intend to I don't listen to the news. It's just like it's too different.
Well, it was just on in the house, and obviously, you know, we know how in your face media is. I don't see. The thing is, when my TV box broke in my room, I stopped watching TV. I just use Amazon. And I just use YouTube because I can while away nights, you know, without TV, just watching YouTube. And so I forget every time you walk into part of the house or someone else's house where they have the mainstream media on, and it's so in your face and all about results. Scotland closes border. What do you think about that, Southerners? And I'm like, oh. Geez.
But yeah, we will. You'll get your arse up here, and we will get that video put out. But so it just remains for me to say thanks, Dave, for coming on the channel. And finally, guys, I hope you all have. In fact, I'm not going to wish you Merry Christmas at the moment because there will be a Friday Waffle next week, probably coming out slightly early. But if you don't watch the next video that comes out, I wish you all a very, very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And the same to yourself, Dave. Thanks again.
And you too, sir, and everyone else out there too.
See you, buddy.
Bye.